Group A returns to sing for the second time, and we're introduced to our first wild card of the season, the Pickle. And I think I've got a pretty good idea who is under that one. Let's talk about the Masked Singer. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Masked Singer recap and reaction video. We are into season 10 now, episode 2, and we sent home the rubber ducky last week, Anthony Anderson. I was right on that one, but that means we have the remaining Group A contestants, the Cow, the Diver, Gazelle, and Smore, and we introduce the Pickle. So before we launch into the specifics here of this episode, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do the Masked Singer recap and reactions every single week. So please consider subscribing. Down below, I do have a playlist for my Masked Singer videos for each current season on the homepage of my channel, so it's easy to find. However, I do post a lot of really great other videos. Check out my movie reviews. Check out my TV reviews, because I don't just do Masked Singer on the channel, although I know that is what a lot of you come to my channel for, and that's okay. But check out the other stuff too, because I do try to post something new just about every day. But of course, the comments is where the Masked Singer videos really shine. So I do encourage you to comment with your thoughts below on who is under the masks. What clues match up for you that maybe I did not figure out. We had a few mentions of that last week. You guys have veered me in one direction on one of the acts, but I actually am going to stick with my guess on one of the other ones. So I'll go down that list in a second. And the Pickle, our wild card, I think I've got a pretty good idea who is under that mask based on some of the clues and just the vocal intonation. So we'll find out about that. But all right, so let's get to the show. We had NFL night. That was the theme. They've been doing these theme shows for the last couple of seasons. So we started with Le'Veon Bell from season 8, and he sang "Let's Get It Started" by the Black Eyed Peas. Or no, I've got a feeling tonight's going to be a good night. But that is in conjunction with sort of the NFL theme. I was wondering, like, what does that even mean, NFL week? But they were all singing songs from previous Super Bowl halftime show singers. So, Black Eyed Peas, of course, did the halftime show at one point. All right, so the Cow was up first this time. They sang last week. This time they were first. The clue packages didn't give us a ton of new stuff. A lot of it was, here's how I felt last week singing or whatever. But each one did give us a few new clues. So for the Cow, he said, "My dad wasn't around. In fact, I did not have many male role models." And then at that point, we see a boxing glove with a down arrow, punching down. That is a phrase. I don't know what it has to do with this person, but he said he was mostly raised by women. And as a parent now, he sees that is really the his main focus and his main job is being a dad. And then we see, a bunch of sort of crayons spread around a table, and there's a piece of paper with a heart on it, crayon red heart. All right, and then he sings "Treasure" by Bruno Mars. And afterwards, Le'Veon Bell came out and brought some tap shoes, and that was the after song clue. And he said, "I'm known for my killer moves." So maybe not specifically a tap dancer, but someone who is known for the dancing. So we had all different guesses this week from the panel. Nobody stuck with what they were thinking last week, which included Sean Stockman from Boyz II Men, Usher, and Leslie Odom Jr., which is who I ended up going with. That was Nicole's guess, I think, last week. But this week we had guesses such as Trey Songz, Neo, Mario, but Jenny pointed out Mario did not have any kids, so she kind of veered away from that. She's guessed Mario, I think, every season. I mean, at some point, are we just going to have Mario on the show or what? Like, and it's always Jenny. I don't know if she has a crush on him or what, but every season she guesses Mario. And then we heard a Nelly guess or potentially Jason Derulo. I thought that was a pretty good guess. Derulo is certainly known for his dance moves. Nelly, I don't think can quite sing that well. I mean, this guy is clearly a professional singer. In whatever genre or whatever vein we're looking at. So in the comments, you guys were pretty sure about Neo last week. Now, clue-wise, I'm not sure a lot of you came up with anything super compelling other than the voice. But I will say Neo has a lot of kids. I'm not exactly sure even how many, but it's more than 5. I think it might be 6 or 7 or 8. I mean, he's got a lot, not as many as Nick Cannon, but he has a lot of kids. So that certainly factors in. I was listening a little more to The Voice this week, and I really I don't hear any Leslie Odom Jr. in there. And I saw the new Exorcist movie. I got to see a sneak preview of that movie, and he's Leslie Odom Jr. is like the lead actor in that, and this is not his voice. So I do like Neo for this. I don't quite understand what the boxing glove is for. I looked up his discography. I looked up a few things this week just to have a little bit more of a guess in reality, but I couldn't find anything with boxing or anything like that. Or punching down. The boxing glove had a down arrow on it. I didn't see anything about that. And then the crayon heart, I don't know about that either. He is known for his dance moves. Okay. But I'm more going off the vocals at this point. I don't really hear, any of these other people that we've talked about. Mario, I only know the one song from, but again, he doesn't have any kids, so I think we kind of throw him out from that. So I am going to switch my vote over to Neo for the cow. I think that's a pretty good guess. All right, second to sing was the diver, and that is also who got sent home. So once we wrap up the clues on this, we will go to the take it off and see where we stand there. The clues here: I haven't gotten a lot of love lately. As a kid, I wanted to be famous. I acted, modeled, and sang. But I always wanted to be a household name, but now I'm a household name because everyone hates me. And we see High Heels sort of floating in an aquarium at that point, because he's the diver. He says, I want to share my talent instead of my drama. And he's saying, I ain't worried by One Republic. So, one guest specifically, stayed from last week, and that is Tom Sandoval. Ken was thinking along those lines, and especially pointing out the high heels floating in the tank, pumps, Vanderpump Rules. But then Nicole was thinking Pete Davidson, and Pauly D was said by Robin. And the after clue, did I even write that? Oh, here it is. Was a football fan standing up in the crowd and ripping his shirt off to reveal a club symbol from like a deck of playing cards. And he said, I get the club going. So that's the after song guess. All right. So last week I went with John Gosselin. Look, Tom Sandoval, I know, Ken's all about it. I don't know who Tom Sandoval is. I know vaguely who he is, and I said this last week because I podcast this morning show out of Philly, Preston and Steve, and they talk about, in their music or entertainment news at the beginning of the show, they talk about Vanderpump Rules and Tom Sandoval and Scandoval with him and whatever. Personally, I think I could give a rip about these dumb people, the Kardashians, the whole thing. So I've never even heard Tom Sandoval's name until pretty recently. Certainly not a household name at my house. And the only clues we have for this jagoff is everyone hates me. I'm the big villain. I'm hated by everybody. Last week, that's all he said in the clue package. Today, that's all he said in the clue package. So look, here's the deal. I would not be able to pick Tom Sandoval out of a lineup, but the clue with the high heels, Vanderpump Rules, I mean, it's pretty obvious, that those are red pumps for Vanderpump Rules. So, look, the guesses from the panel, Ken went with Tom Sandoval, his gut, since last week. Jenny picked the same. Robin went with Pauly D, and Nicole doubled down on that one. So there's only 2 guesses out of the 4 panelists, Tom Sandoval and Pauly D. And because of those red pumps, I have to say this is Tom Sandoval. And that is the exact level of celebrity I think that would do this show. I thought that's why John Gosselin was an okay guest last week. Look, I don't even want to be right because I don't even want to see this idiot's face. But in fact, they show when anybody on the panel guesses somebody, they put a superimposed head of that person on the mask. They put Tom Sandoval's face. I had no idea. I could not pick him out of a lineup, but I'm gonna go with him because that's what they seem to be thinking. So let's see. It is. It's Tom. Okay, it's Tom Sandoval. God, he even looks like a dick. Oh, I hate this person. Okay, I can't even listen to the interview portion. I don't care one whiff about the Vanderpump nonsense and all of that. So all right, it's Tom Sandoval. Great. So technically, I am two two for two. My initial guess, of course, was not Tom Sandoval, but I went to that side. The pumps clue was pretty obvious. I'm not sure what else that would be for a male singer. I guess I am a little bit interested in what some of the clues were last week because they did see the compass was an M and a W, like for I thought it was maybe initials or whatever. Um, Obviously not initials for that, and it doesn't mean Vanderpump anywhere either. But anyway, enough of that crap. Just who cares? So get him off the show. That's fine. But what's interesting is Ken now is 2 for 2 with his first impression guesses because he thought Tom Sandoval last week. And then last week he was the only one to get Anthony Anderson, I think. So boy, oh boy. I mean, that has got to be a record for Ken. Maybe they're telling him to not be as stupid this year. I don't know. Because I think his guesses for everybody else has been okay, I think. But yeah, that one definitely 2 for 2 on Ken. So good for him. All right, let's move on to the rest of the show here. Gazelle was next, and her clue package says at 8 she was pressured to change her name. I didn't know where I fit in because of my unique look. We see a sign that says threat level 3. So we're thinking a triple threat here, which is typically actress, singer, dancer. And we see a test with an A on it, and then a surfboard. And she sang Katy Perry's The One That Got Away. And her post-song clue, Antonio Gates brought this one out, and it just said villain on it. And she said, I can play the part, I've got range. All right, that tells us nothing because, I mean, every actor or actress in their career has played a villain at some point. Even Tom Hanks got around to it eventually. So that clue is absolutely meaningless. We already know this is an actress and a singer because she talked about her love of Broadway last week, and then a couple other things last week that we saw. But all right, so the guesses from the panel: Leighton Meester. From Jenny. That's not a bad guess. I mean, she has a great voice, like the Gazelle. She is in a rock band called The Pretty Reckless. Or no, is that her? No. Shoot, it's not Leighton Meester. It's the other girl from Gossip Girl that's in Pretty Reckless. I can't think of her name right now, but she played Cindy Lou Who on the Grinch movie. That's not Leighton Meester, right? No. Anyway, all right. But I don't think it's her. Constance Wu from Ken, and Ken was like crying when he was saying this guess because he loves Constance Wu so much. They were in Crazy Rich Asians together. I don't really hear her in the voice. But okay, and I'm not positive these clues match up. And then Nicole was thinking Ali Cravalho, who plays Moana. There was a lot of like Hawaiian guesses. We saw the surfboard this week. Last week we saw a Hawaiian shirt. All right, so my guess last week, which nobody said on the panel, was Idina Menzel. You guys in the comments were on mostly this Evan Rachel Wood train. And especially because there was a clue apparently in the preview episode that I did not see. I didn't watch the whole preview episode, but they had a clue of Mickey Rourke with the Gazelle. And Evan Rachel Wood was in The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. Okay, so I'll give you that. However, I keep going back to Idina Menzel for a few reasons. Now, listen, both Idina Menzel and Evan Rachel Wood are part of the Frozen family. So if it is Evan Rachel Wood, I'm not super far off because she was in Frozen 2. And of course, Menzel is, very, very popular as when she played Elsa, right? With Let It Go and all of that. But so they both were in Frozen 2. Okay. But at 8, I was pressured to change my name. Now, Evan Rachel Wood does not have a bizarre name. I mean, Evan is a weird name for a woman, but she could certainly just go by Rachel Wood if they wanted her to change her name. But Idina Menzel is definitely a unique name, right? I mean, John Travolta couldn't even get it right at the Oscars, and she was very, very famous by that. And then the other thing is the surfboard, the Hawaiian shirt. So I don't necessarily have anything for the Hawaiian shirt, but the surfboard, Jenny's thought immediately was maybe a Teen Choice Award. Okay, I looked at Evan Rachel Wood's filmography, and I don't see anything about a surf movie. She wasn't in Blue Crush, or anything like that. Same with Idina Menzel. I can't really find any, surfing stuff there. But Idina Menzel has won a Teen Choice Awards. Evan Rachel Wood has not. So I think between that and the name thing, and just the powerful vocals, it's probably Evan Rachel Wood, but I'm gonna stick with my original thought. At least one more week. We'll see where I go next week with it. But I'm gonna stick with Idina Menzel for now. I know you're all gonna, kill me in the comments. Hey, dummy, it's Evan Rachel Wood. Okay, maybe that's true. But I don't know. The Broadway stuff and the Teen Choice Award potential. I don't know. Look, they're both from Frozen, so I'm not that far off if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna stick with it for now for the Gazelle. All right, up next was the Smore. He said his father was afraid to lose his son to the industry. We see a TV at that point with a big M on it, so obviously that stands for MTV. We see a cauldron at some point, so is that something with witches? Just does that mean cooking? Jenny thought maybe it was cooking the family or something. But an industry legend approached him, and he went with it. We see a game console at that point, possibly an Xbox, and he said he has conquered Broadway. He sings Moves Like Jagger, of course, from Maroon 5. And then Deshaun Jackson brought out a bowl of oranges, and Smore said victory on Masked Singer would be so sweet. All right, so the guesses from the panel, we're still in the boy band train here. JC Chazé from Nicole, I believe that was. Robin sticking with his guns on Kevin Richardson from last week. And then Ken thinking perhaps his buddy from Shang-Chi, Simu Liu. All right, so last week I was Kevin Richardson on this. I went with Robin. And, there was the Chicago Deep Dish Pizza. Kevin Richardson was in Chicago on Broadway. That's how he made his debut. I had caught a lot of clues for Kevin Richardson. And here, boy, this week just bolstered them. I mean, obviously, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were both formed in Florida. So the oranges could be for NSYNC or Backstreet, but Kevin Richardson was a Backstreet Boy, so I'll go with that. MTV, obviously very famous. But Robin, I think, might have gotten us the clincher clue for Kevin Richardson. The video game controller. Quit Playing Games with My Heart, a very famous Backstreet Boy songs. I guess their first big hit in the U.S. It was before As Long As You Love Me and everything. And then also, last week there was a Christmas tree clue, and I said on this show, well, Backstreet Boys had to do a Christmas album at some point, right? They did just last year, so it's still top of mind for Kevin Richardson. I'm sticking with my guess on this one for last week. I believe for sure this is, well, maybe not for sure. I'll give it a 95%. Kevin Richardson, I believe, is under this mask. I think all of the clues have matched up there so far. Obviously, a big MTV hit band in the TRL era. All right, so finally we have the Pickle, and I'll tell you what, I think I have this one. Nobody on the panel said it, but I'm going to say it, and I'll tell you in a moment. So first we see a Joker card, so right away I'm thinking comedian. He said, this wild boy's planning on winning, and I never count myself out. Teachers growing up thought he was a bad kid with no interest but sports. And then we see a radio mic at that point, or podcasting equipment, perhaps. He says he was laser focused on his true passion. And boy, I can't read my writing. He's been rubbing elbows with the likes of Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, and Martin Short. And then he sings Pinball Wizard from The Who. I was wondering if anybody was going to do a famous rock song from the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl last like 10 years has been all, pop acts, R&B acts. Maroon 5 has guitars in it, but I don't count them as a rock act. But, back in the day, of course, you had U2, the Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, The Who, Prince, I would even consider a rock act for sure. So I'm glad somebody finally did a rock song. So The Who's Pinball Wizard. And then his post-song clue was the on-air sign lit up that you would see like at a radio studio. And he says, when I speak, people listen. So the guesses from the panel, a lot of people with popular podcasts or former talk shows. Craig Kilborn was the first person guessed. I think that might have been Robin that said that. Obviously, you know, a former talk show. But then you also had guesses like Dax Shepard, Conan O'Brien, and Howard Stern. Of course, a lot of radio stuff there. Podcasting, certainly currently for Conan. Dax Shepard has a popular podcast. But I'm going a different way for this. And this is partially because of the voice. I could tell this was a New Yorker. So Howard Stern, I don't hate that guess. But you could tell, you know, he's a New Yorker from just kind of the accent, the way he speaks, the inflections. But I'm going very specific on this. This is a person that does have a pretty popular podcast, and he was part of another popular podcast for a little while before, you know, some controversy took over. Controversy because this guy does speak his mind, and kind of, you know, sometimes it does get him in trouble. It's not Joe Rogan. I'm not going there with it. I think this is Michael Rappaport. And you may not know him by the name, but he has done a ton of movie and TV shows, you know, over the last 30 years. You may know him as one of Phoebe's boyfriends for a few episodes on Friends. He was the police officer that ended up shooting the bird outside the window, so she broke up with him. So it's that guy. And he is a frequent, you know, talk show guest. So I don't listen to his podcast, but I know his voice pretty well. And the on-air stuff. So, okay, not only does he have a popular podcast, but both of his parents were in radio. His mom, I think, had her own radio show or radio talk show or something, and his dad owned a very popular disco station in New York. So I'm pretty confident, and I don't think this is going to be on the tip of everybody's tongue because he is not a household name. But I think because of his stint on Friends and some other things that you may have seen him in, you know, he is one of the that guys. Oh, that guy. And I couldn't figure out the Quentin Tarantino or Scorsese thing, but he was in a couple episodes of Only Murders in the Building, I think in season 2. And there's your Martin Short connection. So I believe this is Michael Rappaport. I want to hear your comments about that, what your thoughts are. I think most of your comments are going to be devoted to, it's not Idina Menzel, it's Evan Rachel Wood, dum-dum. And that's okay too. You know, it's fine. But I if you have any other guess that seems logical and good for the pickle, I'd like to hear it. But that voice, that inflection, I believe fully that this is Michael Rappaport. And the same thing with last week, Anthony Anderson. Like, I could just tell by the way he was speaking, even though they have that sort of, you know, modulator or whatever on their voice to disguise it, you could still tell, like, inflections and stuff. So I don't know. That's where I'm going with it. All right. So next week, I guess we will have Group A again with another wild card, and then I believe maybe at that point they'll turn it over to Group B. I forget how they do it because it's been a few seasons since they did the Group A, B, and C thing, but I believe that's probably what will happen. I could be dead wrong on that. We may be introduced to Group B next week, and then the second wild card after that. I don't know. Every year they switch it up, so we will see. But either way, I'll be with you every week of the journey here for Season 10 of The Masked Singer. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.